Hi, my name is Greg Burkhart, Director of Safety and Training at the AGC in Northwest Ohio. I'd like to talk to you today a little bit about personal protective equipment, what is expected on job sites, what's expected of the employer, and what's expected of the employee when it comes to wearing, buying, using personal protective equipment. Per the OSHA standard, employers must protect employees from hazards such as falling hazards, harmful substances, noise exposures that can cause injury. The employers must also use all feasible engineering and work practice controls to eliminate and reduce hazards, exposures to their employees. The use of personal protective equipment is the last resort if we cannot eliminate the hazards through what we call our hierarchy of controls. And the hierarchy of controls is simply this. First of all, we want to try and eliminate the hazard. Physically remove the hazard so it is no longer a hazard or an exposure to the employees. If that doesn't work, then we want to use substitution. We can substitute substances. We can substitute different products. A local contractor, when the silica standard came out, local contractors started looking into eliminating drywall that has silica in it and drywall mud that has silica in it. And they were successful in doing just that. Probably a little more expensive, but when you look at the long run, they don't have exposure to silica for their employees when they use those products. We're going to talk about engineering controls, how we use engineering controls to isolate people from the hazard. And we're going to look at administrative controls. And the administrative controls are simply job rotation or things like that to eliminate hazards to the individual. And when all of those fail, then we are looking at personal protective equipment, PPE. So engineering controls, if the work environment can be physically changed to prevent that person, that employee, from any type of exposure, then we successfully eliminated that hazard. Examples of that are initial design specifications. Substitute a less harmful material, change the process. If we can change it to eliminate the hazard, that's a great thing. Can we enclose the hazard, enclose the process? If we're mixing chemicals, can we do it under a hood where our employees don't have to wear personal protective equipment such as respirators, that the hood removes the vapors, the fumes, the toxic gases, whatever, and the people don't have to wear any type of personal protective equipment. And then finally, can we isolate the process so that maybe our employees don't come into direct contact with this? For our work practice controls, employees can change the way they do their jobs and the exposure to the potential hazard is removed. Then the hazard can be eliminated with some type of work practice controls. And those work practice controls mean job rotation, wet method. Can we wet the product and keep it from emitting dusts or vapors or whatever? Housekeeping and maintenance. How can we use housekeeping and maintenance to eliminate the hazard? And our personal hygiene. These are all types of work practice controls. So when all of those fail, then we're down to personal protective equipment. What are the employer's responsibilities? Well, the employer is responsible for assessing the workplace for the hazards. The employer is responsible. How do they do this? They can do this through job safety analysis, job hazard analysis, where we look at the task. We look at what part of that task can harm my employee, and how do we eliminate that harm? Those are all part of our assessment for our workplace hazards. And when we determine that the only thing we can do is eliminate the hazard or protect our employee by providing PPE, then we have to provide the proper PPE through the workplace hazard. We need to determine when we need to use that, the personal protective equipment. And we also have to provide training for the employees and instruction in the proper use of for the employees. A lot of the information that we can garner from this to protect our employees can also be found on safety data sheets, where Section 8 tells us what type of personal protective equipment we must use in order to protect our employees from the hazards of that product. What's the employee's responsibilities in all this? Well, they must use the PPE in accordance with the training received and other instructions from the employer. They must inspect it on a daily basis and maintain it in a clean and reliable condition. These are the employee's responsibilities. Who pays for the personal protective equipment? It is the employer's responsibility to pay for personal protective equipment for the employee. The only product that they do not necessarily have to pay for are work boots. They have to pay for work boots if it's a specialty work boot, such as the yellow boots you see people that pour concrete, the cement masons wear, or even work boots that require some type of metatarsal protection. Those are the type of shoes, boots, that may be required by OSHA that the employer pay for. Otherwise, everyday boots that you can wear to and from work, you can wear it to church, you can wear it to the store, you can wear it around home day in and day out, not required to buy those for the employees. But anything else, safety glasses and goggles that's required, face shields that may be required, hard hats, gloves, vests, earplugs and earmuffs, things like that. Those are all examples of personal protective equipment that the employee or that the employer must pay for and not back charge the employee for. Employers must establish a personal protective equipment program, and that includes procedures for selecting, providing, and using personal protective equipment. And how do we do that? How do we develop a program? Well, first of all, we must assess the workplace to determine if the hazards are present, what are the hazards, and what needs of personal protective equipment we will supply for our employees. And here again, this can be maintained, this can be done through our JHAs, job hazard analysis, job safety analysis, task analysis, whatever you call it. We identify the work, we identify the hazards in that work, and we identify how we're going to correct those and protect our employees from those hazards. And after selecting and deploying the PPE, provide training to employees who are required to use it, and also they must pay for it. So the training, if employees are required to use PPE, we must train them, the employers must train them on why it is necessary, why this is going to protect you. We also must talk about how it will protect them. Protect them from splashes for the eyes, particles in the eyes, hearing protection, things like that. What are its limitations? Personal protective equipment does have limitations for protecting individuals, and we must talk about that. When and how to wear it, if it's required all the time or just when you're doing that process, when you're exposed to that chemical, when you're exposed to that process, do we have to wear it? Identifying the signs of wear. And the only way to identify the signs of wear is to inspect it prior to each and every use. That means in the morning, in the afternoon, if you take a lunch break, if you take a simple break in the afternoon, inspect it and to make sure that it's not damaged. We have to clean and maintain it, clean and disinfect it too, especially when it comes to respiratory protection. The Respiratory Standard 1910-134 specifically spells out that it must be maintained, it must be stored properly, it must be clean, and it must be disinfected after each and every use. And what is its useful life? And how is it disposed of? Sometimes hard hat manufacturers will tell you 5 years for the use of their hard hat. Is it 5 years because they feel that it degrades? Is it 5 years because they feel that people use it outside all the time in the UV lights? What if you're a carpenter that all you work in is a hospital your whole career, where you're not exposed to any UV lights, but you still wear your hard hat? These are the things that we have to think about, we have to look at when it comes to maintaining our equipment and making sure that our equipment complies with the manufacturer's instructions for that equipment. Let's talk a little bit about head protection and hard hats. Hard hats are required anytime there is a possibility for injury from overhead work. So anytime you're on scaffolding in a building, ceilings are not finished, Outside, you are required, when there is a chance for overhead hazards, you are required to wear your hard hat. Or whenever you're possibility of coming into contact with electrical wires or electrical components. We had an individual years and years ago that argued with me about wearing a hard hat. All he did was put drop ceilings in buildings, and he said there are no overhead hazards in a drop ceiling. I don't have to wear a hard hat. And one day he went up to continue his work on a drop ceiling. He had pulled wires down to be able to hang the grid, and as he went up the ladder, he forgot a wire was right there, and it got into his face and pretty much just filleted his face wide open. I believe it took him 38 or 83 stitches to close up his face. It was, I guess, a pretty gruesome injury. Did not have a hard hat on. I am absolutely convinced that if he'd had a hard hat on, that hard hat would have deflected that wire, and he would not have been injured from that wire. Selecting the right hard hat. There are Class A hard hats, general service, building construction, shipbuilding, lumbering. Good impact protection, but limited voltage protection. They're only rated at 2200 volts for protection. That's your everyday standard hard hat. A lot of contractors issue, nothing fancy. Your Class B hard hats, electrical, utility work, those are rated at up to 20,000 volts. And then you have your Class C hard hats, which are just basically bump caps. Those are designed for comfort, offers very limited protection, will not offer you any type of protection from a falling object if it hits you. There are several different types of hard hats that can be used on job sites. What we have to remember about the hard hat is OSHA spells out in the standard that hard hats must be ANSI Z89.1 approved. So ANSI is the American National Standards Institute. They test this equipment, they test this stuff. So these are all ANSI approved hard hats. They are just different colors and different styles. The one I have in my hand right now, your basic hard hat, most of the time this is what people get on a job site. This is what the employees will receive. There's a tag on the inside of this hard hat, and it will tell you that this is a ANSI Z89.1 Type 1 Class E when used with the approved MSA suspensions. So the Type 1 hard hat is simply a hard hat that protects from impacts like that, straight down. That's my Type 1 hard hat. It has no padding, no foam or anything on the sides of this, on the front or on the back. The Type 2 hard hat protects, it has foam rubber on the sides, the front, the back, and the top. And this is designed for all impact from the top, the sides, the front, or the back. Little different shape, but this too is a Type 1 hard hat which protects only from impact from the top. If you read the label inside, it'll show you a couple different things. One of them is a circle arrow, chasing an arrow is how I describe it. And that means that these can be worn backwards as long as the suspension is also flipped backwards, so that the area to tighten the hard hat onto your head is always worn to the back. Your bill can be also to the back, but it must be flipped that way. So that's on your tag inside. I call it the arrow chasing the arrow. So there's two arrows kind of chasing each other. Can we put stickers on our hard hats? Manufacturers now are not addressing that. They're saying it's fine to use the stickers. And the biggest reason for that is simply because a lot of the contractors require you to have stickers on your hard hats saying if you've had safety orientation at that job site. So stickers on the hard hats are okay. We don't want to put any paint on a hard hat. And when we clean our hard hats, we want to use just simple soap and water and no solvents on the hard hats. Some of the manufacturers, and I know 3M is one of them, requires that the hard hat suspension be replaced on an annual basis. How many of us do that? There is also an indicator on here, kind of looks like a sundial. It's got 12 numbers, and in those 12 numbers is an arrow with the number on either side of that arrow. In this case, this arrow is pointing to the number 2, and it's got a 15 on either side of a 1 and a 5 on the side of the arrow. That means that this helmet, hard hat, was made in February of 2015. I get asked this question quite a bit. How long are hard hats good for? 5 years, 10 years, forever? What you have to remember is OSHA will go by what the manufacturer says. Just like 3M says, replace this suspension on an annual basis, all of the manufacturers will tell you, clean them on a regular basis. But here's something for you. MSA, my fancy MSA, in their instructions, you get your instruction envelope, the hard hat is in here. But if you read these instructions, it specifically tells you that hard hat entire helmet must be replaced after no more than 5 years of use. That's MSA. On the 3M package that you get, nowhere on here does it say hard hat must be replaced every 5 years. So I get that question asked a lot. There's your answer. It depends on the manufacturer of the hard hat. There's new hard hats coming out, more like bicycle helmets, and we're going to see a lot of these on construction sites this year. So be ready for these. These are rated the same. They are either type 1 or type 2 hard hats. They are either type C, type G, or type E. They are all rated the same. This actually says it's a type 1 class C hard hat, Z89.1. They do come with attachments on the front for hearing protection, and they also come with attachments on the front for face protection also. But these are the new style hard hats that you're going to see on job sites coming up in the very, very near future. One way to test your hard hat to see if it is adequate, if it's not cracking, if it still should be used, simply grab it like this and give it a squeeze. You don't hear any cracking. You know that it's still in good shape. What you have to remember is storage of these also. A lot of people throw them in their trucks, in their cars. They may put them on the back dashboard. They may put them on the front dashboard, all exposed to sunlight. UV rays, sunlight degrades this material. You may be replacing these sooner if you do not take care of these. Regular cleaning is recommended by the manufacturer. Replacement of the suspension is recommended by the manufacturer. And on MSA hard hats, 5-year lifespan on these hard hats. We talked about who buys what. The contractor will buy you this hard hat, perfectly good hard hat. You want this, they don't have to buy you this. They will buy you something like this. $12 versus $35. I think you understand why. Can they tell you not to wear this? Company policy. This one still meets the standards. If it had a suspension, it would still meet the standards of this MSA. In fact, they're both MSAs. They still meet the standard 89.1, but the contractor may not want this on the job site. Various reasons. The one I can think of is stickers. If they need safety stickers and it needs to be seen quickly, can they pick it out on something like this? So these are the things that we have to think about and we have to be aware of on job sites. Our eye protection, when must it be provided? Most contractors in Northwest Ohio require eye protection 100% of the time on their job sites, as they do 100% of the time head protection on their job sites also. But per the OSHA standard, we must protect our employees from any type of eye injuries when there is dust or other flying particles. I'm using a saw, I'm using a drill, I'm using anything that will produce these flying particles, such as metal shavings or sawdust. It is required that they have eye protection. Anytime there are corrosive gases, vapors, or liquids, eye protection is required. Hot metal that may splash, eye protection is required. Infectious materials such as blood or hazardous liquids. Different levels of eye protection may be required in a situation like that. It might be goggles, it may be just simple safety glasses. And also intense light from welding and lasers. And that is something that we have to look at what type of laser it is, what type of welding it is, to determine what type of eye protection we need. Eye protection protects from specific hazards. It is comfortable to wear. There was a time when safety glasses were boxes you put on your eyes, and when you look left or you look right, your peripheral vision was distorted. Anymore, you put a pair of safety glasses on, and I forget I have them on. They also make safety glasses that have reading lenses in the bottom of them, cheaters. Those are absolutely ideal for me. I need to read. I need to wear glasses to read. I need to wear glasses to do up-close work in my garage or wherever, and I just slip a pair of safety glasses on and they work fantastic. Eye protection must be comfortable and it must not restrict your vision or movement. And like I said, that's what our new safety glasses do anymore. They're very comfortable to wear. Easy to clean, easy to disinfect. They are long-lasting as long as you take care of them. And it does not interfere with any function of any type of required personal protective equipment. Ordinary glasses, prescription glasses, they do not protect like safety glasses do. You can get prescription glasses that are safety glasses, but they must be stamped that way. Most of the time, people just get their prescription glasses. They're just simple glasses that do not have any type of quality of safety for those. Prescription safety glasses, they will come with side shields and protective lenses. There are also goggles out there that fit comfortably over corrective glasses to protect you without disturbing the glasses. And they also incorporate corrective lenses mounted behind the protective lenses. Safety glasses are made with a metal or a plastic safety frames. Most operations require side shields. Safety glasses wrap around your eyes to the side, so that allows you the opportunity to get your side protection in that way. And they're used for moderate impact from particles produced like carpentry, woodworking, grinding, things like that, to protect your eyes that way. In this picture, you see an individual that has safety glasses on, and he's awfully lucky he did have safety glasses on. Otherwise, there's a good opportunity or a good chance that he would have lost his eye with this exploding angle grinder disc. Whether he inspected the tool beforehand, inspected the disc, I have no idea. The point being, this individual, the safety glasses that he does have on, it appears that it saved him from losing his eye. Goggles, they protect the eyes and area around the eyes from impact, mostly splashes and dust. And like I said, some goggles will fit over your corrective lenses. Laser safety glasses, you have to find out the concentrations of the light produced by your lasers in order to understand which safety glasses you will use. Luckily, in the construction industry, we don't use lasers a whole lot. Face shields. Face shields and eye protection are two totally different things. Face shields will protect your face. Eye protection will protect your eyes. So don't think that when you put on a face shield that you've satisfied the OSHA requirement for eye protection during an operation. You must have eye protection, Z87.1, ANSI Z87.1 eye protection. Your face shields protect your face from dust, splashes, or sprays. Does not protect from impact hazards. And you can wear your safety glasses or goggles underneath it very comfortably. So when you're running something like a partner saw, something like that, a lot of sparks, a lot of dust, eyeglasses, safety glasses, and face shields are a must. Welding shields protects eyes from the radiant light. And here again, get your whatever you're welding, whatever you're doing, we have to maintain that level of protection with the proper lens, the proper numbered lens, the proper darkening to make sure that your eyes are protected from the welding, brazing, soldering, cutting, whatever you're doing. The OSHA standard specifically spells out that safety glasses used on job sites must be ANSI approved Z87.1 safety glasses. What you'll see on the temples of these glasses is Z87, some form of Z87.1, and it might even say Z87.2 as the new standard. But it must say on the temple of the glasses Z87.1 or Z87.2. This is just your typical safety glasses. They are different than glasses like the ones I'm wearing now. These will protect from impact. These will not. And this is required when you are cutting any type of sawdust or metal shavings, grinding, anything like that, that is being emitted from that product, that whatever you're doing, your process, whether it's wood or metal, safety glasses must be worn. There are several different types of safety glasses. These are safety glasses, tinted safety glasses, and you must wear these, or you can wear these outside. You cannot wear these inside. We also have just regular clear safety glasses. These just happen to be clear safety glasses, but they also have a 1.5 magnifier for reading glasses. So that's what's so nice about these. These can be worn inside or outside, depending if you need outside tinting or whatever, but these can be worn inside and outside. And here again, on the temple, it will say Z87.1. This one actually says Z87.2. So it is the newer standard that's out there right now. We also have goggles. These are actually called spoggles because they can be, the foam rubber can be removed and used as safety glasses. But there are some areas, some refineries, some people do require spoggles because they do offer more protection for debris and keep things out of your eyes with these too. And then we also have specialty, our lens darkeners, whether it's welding, cutting, lasers, whatever the case may be. These are also ANSI approved, and whatever you have to wear these for, these can be worn to protect the eyes. Remember, personal protective equipment only protects you. God only gave you 2 eyes. Protect them. Please protect them. Some people think that you can just grab a pair of glasses and put a side shield on. Nothing further from the truth. Okay? These glasses are prescription safety glasses. They do say Z87.1 on the side, Z87.2 actually on the temple, but most importantly, they also have a stamp on the lens itself. And that stamp on these glasses is TO, which is Toledo Optical. That stamp must be on the glass to prove that these are actually prescription safety glasses. And with these, I also got side shields to work with my safety glasses. So those are prescription safety glasses that can be used on the job site. We also talked about face protection, a face shield. Face shields can be used with safety glasses, but if you use safety glass, or if you use a face shield, you still must use safety glasses. Face shield will protect your face. Safety glasses will protect your eyes. I bought these at one of the local home improvement stores. They are simply side shields. They say put these side shields on your regular glasses and they become safety glasses. Nothing could be further from the truth. These are impact resistant. These are not impact resistant. So please, please, please keep that in mind. These glasses probably will be the ones provided to you by your employer. These meet the requirements of providing you with safety glasses, whether they're tinted or clear. These are also safety glasses. These are a little bit fancier. They are tinted, and they are also Z87.1 approved. So here again, probably what you're going to get from a contractor, if you want to wear these and they are Z89.1 on the temple, then these do satisfy what your contractor and what OSHA is looking for eye protection for yourself. These are more expensive than what these are. Remember, the employer has to provide you with safety glasses that meet the OSHA standard. And that's what these do. Less expensive, more expensive, but they both meet the standard. Hearing protection, 85 decibels is the trigger for hearing protection. So anything above 85 decibels, we must protect our hearing. 85 decibels is really not that loud. What people tell me is if you can't talk to your coworker, you're 3 to 4 feet apart and you can't hear each other, then you are in an environment where you need hearing protection. Hearing protection comes in the ranges of ear muffs, it comes with earplugs, or a combination of both. When the employer's noise exposure exceeds an 8-hour time-weighted average sound level of 90 decibels, we're going to start having some hearing loss or a little bit of hearing damage for an individual. So we must make sure that we either have ear muffs or earplugs, or what's called canal caps, which are very similar to earplugs. And they must also be properly installed, properly applied, properly put in the ears to make sure that they are working properly per the manufacturer. And remember, we have to start thinking about hearing protection when, per the OSHA standard, when our decibel level gets near 85 decibels or gets above 85 decibels. It is mandatory that we provide hearing protection when the decibels get above 90 decibels. So how can you tell? What is that? Well, believe it or not, NIOSH, the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, that is OSHA's sister agency, they're the ones that do the research, they're the ones that approve things. OSHA, if you see somebody that says it's OSHA approved, it is not OSHA approved. They're just using that to sell their product. NIOSH approves everything. NIOSH will tell you. So NIOSH developed an app. It is an app for measuring noise. And People have said, industrial hygienists have said that this app, when used with the iPhone and the proper microphone, is very close to being exactly what a regular dosimeter, I believe it's called, that measures sound. So you can use that. It is a NIOSH app that measures sound, and it is very accurate, especially on the iPhone side. So you use that, you determine that, yeah, these guys are getting to be above 85 or near 85, or they're just not able to communicate with their coworker from 3 to 4 feet away. It is time for hearing protection. So the simplest type of hearing protection that people use, the least expensive, here again provided by the employer, are your earplugs. Earplugs that are soft foam rubber. In order to use these, first of all, we must make sure that our hands are clean prior to putting these in our ears. So when we use these, we roll this down as tight as we possibly can. Take your right arm, grab your left ear, your right hand, grab your left ear, and insert that as we have it rolled down. Release the ear and wait for about 30 seconds for that to expand. Same on the other side. Roll it down, make it flat, pull our ear back, insert that into our ear, wait about 30 seconds. And you can hear it, you can hear the difference. And that is how you install, that's how you wear your hearing protection, these foam earplugs, properly. Earmuffs are another form of hearing protection that we have. These earmuffs are attached to the hard hat. They come with and without hard hats, but I will show you these and how these work. Put your hard hat on. And you're able to slide these down, and they slide up and down. And this allows me the opportunity now to have hearing protection. It's very simple to use. They come with or without hard hats, but they are very simple, and quite frankly, it's very effective right now when I'm talking. So can I use these with other hearing protection if need be? The answer is yes. I can still use these if I'm in an extremely noisy environment. I can put these in, and then I can also use my earmuffs for additional hearing protection. Hearing protection is rated. It's called an NRR, noise reduction rating. You'll see this on the box itself. 28 is the noise reduction rating on here. This is under optimal conditions, per the OSHA standard, under optimal lab conditions by certified people that know exactly what they're doing. You will not get a 28 noise reduction rating no matter how hard you try, because you are not the professional and this is not ideal lab conditions. But you will still get about a 14, 15 noise reduction rating on your hearing protection. So if you're at 90, you still notice a noticeable difference in the noise reduction rating, or the noise that you hear on the job site. Keep in mind that for every 3 decibels that the noise increases where you're at, for every 3 decibels, you're actually doubling the noise, doubling the sound. So from 80 to 83, you're doubling the sound. From 83 to 86, you're doubling the sound again from 83 decibels. So hearing protection is very important. There again, God only gave you 2 ears to be able to hear. So please, when you're on job sites, even if the contractor is not, even if your employer is not aware of the noise that you're encountering, it is always a great idea to wear hearing protection to protect your hearing. It's your hearing, It's your personal protective equipment. Please continue to use it wisely. Foot protection, work boots, steel-toed or safety-toed are always recommended. It is not an OSHA standard to have that on a construction site unless you are doing some type of specialty task. It is recommended simply because it does protect your toes from things falling on your toes, such as steel beams, loads of wood, brick and block, things like that. Like I said before, all the other things we talked about, your face shields, your hard hat, your safety glasses, your hearing protection, those are all required to be paid for by the employer. Work boots, not necessarily. Work boots, specialty work boots, are required to be paid for by the employer, but your everyday work boots are not necessarily required. When must foot protection be provided? Anytime any heavy objects such as barrels, tools, lumber, brick, blocks may fall onto somebody's feet. Sharp objects, nails or spikes that might pierce ordinary shoes, molten metal, hot or wet surfaces, slippery surfaces, or even electrical surfaces. Proper foot protection must be provided. You must wear proper foot protection. Impact-resistant toes, like I said, steel toes, safety toes. Some shoes have metal insoles in them to protect against puncture wounds, and some work shoes may be electrically conductive to protect from explosive environments or electrical hazards in the workplace. Hand protection on job sites is almost becoming mandatory anymore. Most of your contractors require gloves. When must gloves be provided and used? When burns are potential, bruising, abrasions, cuts, punctures, fractures, amputations, or even chemical exposures. That pretty much sums it up for construction sites, I guess, now doesn't it? What kinds of protective gloves are available? Rubber-coated gloves, fabric gloves, protect you from cuts, abrasions, bruises, things like that. Your chemical and liquid resistant gloves, nitrile gloves, vinyl gloves, protects from burns, irritation, dermatitis, and your rubber gloves, same thing, cuts, lacerations, and abrasions, and they can also protect from chemical burns and things like that. Nitrile protects against solvents. Here again, look on your safety data sheets. That will tell you what type of gloves is necessary to protect from the potential chemical that you may be working with, whether it's an acid for cleaning or hydraulic fluid, things like that. What type of protection is needed for gloves can be found in Section 8 of your safety data sheets. Other types of gloves, Kevlar, if you're working around potential for cuts, steel mesh gloves against cuts and lacerations, steel mesh not on job sites, but maybe in the meat cutting industry. Body protection, what type of body protection do we need? What are we protecting from? Intense heat, hot metals, other hot liquids, impacts from tools, machinery, and materials, cuts, hazardous chemicals, or radiation. What type of body protection do we need? Do we need vests, aprons, jackets, coveralls, full body suits? This is all something that we can make determinations about through our job hazard analysis. What is the task? What are the hazards? And how do we protect ourselves from these? We have cooling vests that we can use, especially if we're going to be in a full body suit, something like that, exposed to chemicals, hazardous cleanup. If we're in a level A suit and it's a hot day, maybe we got to go back to a cooling vest. Maybe a cooling vest just because it is a hot day. Our chemical exposures for a full body suit, maybe a level A, level B. Level A is a full encapsulated suit. Level B may be something to the effect of respiratory protection. But these are all determinations that we need to make based on our job hazard analysis. What is the exact job that we are doing? Sleeves and aprons. One of the local contractors cut down their injuries by having their sheet metal employees wear sleeves, cut-resistant sleeves and cut-resistant gloves. Dropped their injury rate tremendously just by simply implementing cut-resistant sleeves and gloves. So in summary, what do we have to do to protect our employees? Well, first of all, we have to assess the workplace. We have to determine what type of exposure these individuals, our employees, have. If we can control them through the hierarchy of controls, elimination, substitution, work practice controls, administrative controls, then we don't even get to the personal protective equipment side. Unfortunately, there are several tasks out there that the only thing that can be used is personal protective equipment to protect our employees from any type of injury or harm. Selecting the appropriate PPE can be done simply with safety data sheets. Analyzing what the hazard is, what we're exposed to, if we're exposed to a chemical, if we're exposed to something that does have a safety data sheet, how do we protect our employees from exposure by looking at a safety data sheet. Inform the employees why the PPE is necessary. I think all employees understand that anymore. Train the employees on how to use and care for their personal protective equipment, including how to recognize deterioration and failure. And that simply is put by, we inspect it day in and day out, every time we use it. Remember, personal protective equipment only protects you. It is your personal protective equipment. We also have to remember that we can, as employees, bring in our own personal protective equipment as long as it meets the standards set forth in the OSHA guidelines for personal protective equipment. Most personal protective equipment is also tested by ANSI. The ANSI is the American National Standards Institute. 89.1, Z89.1 is the standard for hard hats. Z87.1 is the standard for eye protection. And Z41 is the standard for foot protection. Personal protective equipment is required on job sites in the construction industry. If we take care of that personal protective equipment properly, with proper inspections, proper maintenance, clean and disinfect it on a regular basis, that personal protective equipment will also take care of you. I appreciate your time. Thank you. Stay safe.